Hi guys, Suzanne here with the Health and Fitness Project. Checking in for this week. I didn't have a very good week. I had kind of an emotional week with some stuff going on. It seems silly now that it derailed me, but it did. So kind of ate a little bit too much, especially on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it had nothing really to do with the weekend. It had to do with what happened. I had a snake in my yard. And my dog had an encounter with the snake. And at first I thought she was bitten, but she wasn't, thank God. I thought it was a rattlesnake, but I don't know now that I have talked to a lot of people about it. And they said if it was a rattlesnake, I definitely would have heard the rattle even before the little encounter she had, because I was right there within a foot or 2 feet of where the snake was, like a minute before she had her encounter with it. So I'm pretty sure now it wasn't a rattlesnake. It kind of looked like one though, but I guess that's a gopher snake. So I guess that's a good thing because they eat rattlesnakes and rats. I don't know. I don't like snakes and I didn't like the encounter. So until the animal control people came out on Sunday, I still thought maybe it was a rattlesnake. And this happened on Thursday afternoon. I didn't know. I was looking it up online. I didn't know if I'd heard a rattle. I did know that it hissed and kind of at her and at me, so I wasn't sure. I really don't know too much about snakes. So until the lady came out on Sunday, finally came on Sunday, and of course we couldn't find it by then because who knows where it was. Some of the ways she talked about it was that I would have definitely heard a rattle if it was a rattlesnake, and I don't know if I heard a rattle when it hissed, but she also said that she was like saying that if you were like 4 feet away, you would have heard a rattle, and I was definitely 4 feet away from it. Before the incident with my dog. So I spent the whole weekend worrying about the dog, worrying that I have a snake in my yard. I'm still worried that I have a snake in my yard, but I haven't seen it. She went around and tapped. I guess that's what you do. You tap and then it's going to rattle. I still could have some other snake, I guess, because it's not going to rattle, but I don't really care about other snakes, just the rattlesnake. So she went around my whole yard tapping to make sure there was no snake. We never found a snake. I don't know what happened to the snake, but it was just exhausting. And then on Friday, one of my daughters called me and said she needed me to go look for formula for her because they couldn't find formula for her baby. So I spent all Friday morning going to Target and different places looking for formula, which I never found, by the way. They were out of it everywhere here as well, but she was able to find 2 containers of it back there in the end. But that took up my whole morning Friday. So I had kind of a traumatic, dramatic weekend and end of the week. So I really proved that I'm a stress eater. I wanted cookies, so I ate them. I know that's no excuse, but I really see where that is a crutch that I have during, I don't know if you want to call it emotional eating or stress eating or what. The funny thing is, though, I did only gain 1 pound, so that's good. I'm supposed to be going the other way, right? We're here to go the other way, but drama or traumatic things, I guess, will impact you as far as how well you do. At least me anyway. So that is what happened here. I did work out some. I didn't end up playing golf on Friday, which was good because I ended up having to go look for the formula. But I didn't play golf because the person I played golf with, his daughter got married. So she was unavailable and she was off marrying off her daughter. Marrying off, that sounds funny. Off at her daughter's wedding. How's that? So anyway, so that's kind of what happened last week. It was a lot of drama. So this morning, I want to talk about something that I find kind of goes along with what happened. I've been reading this book, I think I told you about this book, called Arete. And Arete is a super cool word that means basically being the best version of yourself. So in this book, it also talks about something called destiny math, +1 or +-. And we talk about, I'm sure you guys all know who Abraham Maslow is. And he told us that at any given moment, we have a choice. We can either step forward into growth or we can step back into safety, which makes sense why I want to eat, because that's back into safety. I was scared. I was scared of the snake. I was scared of the baby not having formula. I mean, I'm just trying to psychologically analyze this. But anyway, this book says, and it's true, forward into growth or back into safety. Forward into growth or back into safety. It's either +1 or -1. And I think last week I was talking about how I felt like I kept going forward, kept going back, kept going forward, kept going back. So step forward or go backwards, step forward or go backwards. How we feel at the end of the day is largely determined by these micro movements of decision, right? So if you have a bunch of plus ones, you're going to move forward. If you have plus ones or minus ones, you're going to move backwards. So you have to deliberately be more aware of being in the state of moving forward. But I thought was interesting here is that forward into growth or back into safety. And that really made sense why when I was so scared, food was safety to me. And that's another issue. But food was safety. I needed safety because I was scared, basically, from those two things. So it's interesting, and growth is scary too. So I think that's why people will move forward, take one step forward, take one step back, because growth is scary. It's scary to change. It's scary to change your life. It's scary to change anything in your life. It's scary to lose weight. I don't know why it's scary, but it is, right? So you take one step back into safety, to being where you've always been. But if you keep doing that, you're not practicing arete, which is being the best person that you can be. So I thought it was interesting. This always happens to me, synchronicities, because there are no coincidences. I picked up this book this morning and read this after this weekend, and I thought that makes so much sense, because of course I was beating myself up saying, well, why did you do that? It makes sense though. I was going back I had to go to safety this weekend because I was so scared. But for the purposes of moving forward on our journeys, think of this. Think about, am I moving forward into growth or back into safety? Safety is doing the same things you've always done. Growth is doing something different. Doing something maybe not necessarily better, but something different than what you've been doing is growth. So what are you going to do this week? Are you going to have a growth mindset, or are you going to opt for safety? Safety is where you feel good and you feel comfortable, right? Growth is where you might feel a little bit scared, but not scared of a snake or scared of no baby formula. Scared of what could be. Scared of how good things could be, right? Scared of what changes could happen. I mean, I always think about that because I think about, okay, first of all, is it going to change my relationship with my husband? I don't know if I lose weight. I hope not. Well, I hope it makes it better. Is it going to change the way I feel about myself? Well, I would hope it would make me feel better about myself, right? Is it going to change the way my body looks? Obviously. But what is that going to look like? So there's a little bit of fear there. There's the unknown. So when you're talking about losing weight, it's unknown of what will be when you lose weight. So that kind of makes sense why somebody keeps trying to call me, why people would take one step forward and one step back, because moving forward is growth, and growth can be scary. Growth is the unknown. And taking a step back is back to safety, back to comfort, back to what we've always known. So if I'm going to really keep that in mind this week and push myself through wanting to step back into safety. And I feel like if you take enough steps forward into growth, then safety, what used to be safe, is going to be a little bit different than what is safe now, if that makes sense. So if I'm able to do 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks of changing my mindset, of changing the way I eat, of really changing, then if I do, which inevitably you're going to take a step back. You just don't want to take too many steps back. So every time you take a step forward, you're going to take a step back and end up in the same place, which is what I kind of feel like I've been doing these last couple of weeks. Round and round like a hamster, not going anywhere. Now they're texting me. Okay. So that is what I wanted to talk about this week. What are you doing? Are you stepping back into safety? Are you moving forward into growth? Got to move forward into growth if you want to move forward. And it might be scary, and it might be scary in a way that you don't even understand. It might not be scary like a snake or like no baby formula, but it might be scary like the fear of the unknown scary, which is still scary, right? So that made complete sense. And again, the universe came through, and I just happened to read, well, it didn't happen because it's synchronicitous. I read this morning, and it made perfect sense. Fear is stepping back. Just like when the snake hissed at Piper and me, we stepped back. We stepped back. Fear, stepping back to comfort because we wanted to be more in comfort. We wanted to be away from it. So interesting analogy, real life analogy. I could have done without it. Could have done without that real life analogy to make me realize that the reason I keep taking a step back, and you may be doing this too, is because we're going back to comfort, to security. What did they call it here? Did they call it security? Safety. We're going back to safety when you take a step back. So I'm going to be conscious of this, and I'm going to take steps forward only. Thank you, snake and lack of baby formula, I guess, for making me realize this concept. So hopefully my little story was helpful for you as well, and you understand sometimes why you take a step back. And I really like the way this book talked about it as well, as plus one, minus one. And I felt like, and I even said this last week, that I kept feeling like I was going one step forward, one step back. Exactly like this book said. So I never go too many steps back, not back to anything from years back. Like I didn't go back to drinking. I didn't pick up a glass of wine. I did kind of think about having a glass of wine after the snake. But not really, not seriously. I knew that was going to do no good. I knew that was ridiculous. Now I have to get that same thought about a cookie. That's ridiculous. That's not going to help me. A cookie doesn't help me. Overeating doesn't help you. It doesn't really make you more secure. Oh, there might be some biological thing that it does to you when you have a full belly. I don't know, but all right. So are you going to be moving one step forward? Or are you going to be taking a step back this week? I don't know about you, but I'm going to take one giant step forward this week. And I'm going to really think about this. And I'm also very thankful to the universe for putting this in front of me. And it's so funny because I'm thinking all weekend, I was like upset. I was pissed because of this stupid snake ruining my weekend, or thought of the snake lady coming, and all the things about this snake. And then when I picked up this book, I realized there's a lesson. This is the lesson. I found my lesson. And actually this morning I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? I'm just going to be telling them again on my podcast that I had a setback. But you know what? This was a lesson. It was a lesson. Step forward into growth, not backwards into safety. All right, guys, have a great week and step forward into growth.